Have you been looking for a Taekwondo podcast with qualified people who know what they're talking about, who help you keep up with everything going on in the Taekwondo world? Well, you found it. This is the Taekwondo Podcast. Taekwondo news, competitions and other events, training and sports science, keeping the fans, coaches, and high-performance athletes up to date with the latest news and trends on Olympic Taekwondo. Let's do this. This is the Taekwondo Podcast. And now your hosts, Coach César Valentim and Peter Nessler.
Hello and welcome to the Taekwondo Podcast. We're a podcast based out of Austria in English language for everyone out there who likes Taekwondo. In this episode, we talk with Dr. Christoph Rottensteiner, sports scientist and director at Firstbeat Technologies. This podcast is sponsored by Firstbeat Sports. Firstbeat Sports combines the most comprehensive analytics in team sports with a customizable interface to support real-time monitoring, recovery monitoring, performance management, and much more. The result? Data-driven decisions that support your athletes and team training, recovery, and performance goals. Firstbeat Sports is trusted by professionals. Over 23,000 athletes representing over 1,000 teams around the world rely on the solution to train and plan with confidence on a team and individual level using HRV-based insights. For more information, please visit our website, firstbeat.com/sports. Welcome to our podcast. I'm Coach César Valentim, and with me is Dr. Christoph Rottensteiner. Hi, Christoph. How are you?
Hello, César. Thank you. I'm good, and thank you again for this invitation.
It was something that I had the pleasure of having you. We've talked about this and we scheduled this for a few weeks already. Christoph, for everyone out there who doesn't know who you are, can you please tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm, as you maybe already have guessed from my surname, I'm also from Austria, originally living now almost 12 years in Finland. And I've studied sports science in Austria at the University of Graz. And during my exchange, I got first time 2006-2007 in touch with Finland and the University of Jyväskylä. And it was from the beginning very exciting for me to study here at this faculty and get deeper into science, sports science. And therefore, I decided also to start my Ph.D. at the Faculty of Sports Science at the University of Jyväskylä 2010. I've done that in cooperation with the Research Institute of Olympic Sports and have been working there for almost 4 years and writing my thesis related also to performance optimization and youth development. And 2014, I got then this opportunity to start at Firstbeat Technologies in Jyväskylä, Finland. It is a Finnish-based company and actually a spin-off of the University of Jyväskylä. And I started 2014 there, and my main responsibility was that time to establish also the brand, the company at the German-speaking market. And nowadays my responsibility has been changing a little bit. I'm responsible for whole Europe, and we have been growing as a company pretty nicely and existing almost 20 years on the market already.
That's awesome. Firstbeat is definitely one of the best resources out there for coaches. And you, with your background and your experience in sport performance, you are the perfect person to invite for this podcast, since it is all about Olympic Taekwondo and performance Taekwondo. Firstbeat is basically a heart rate variability solution. Why is it so important to monitor HRV in the sports environment?
Exactly. So our core element is the heart and the heart rate variability. We are the pioneers. As I said, our company was already founded 2002, so we are 20 years already on the market. And many of you maybe already know that Finland is a very good place for not only for technology but also for heart rate analysis. And our focus has been always on professional sports. And we know that the internal load management and recovery plays a quite crucial role in performance optimization, and it has been our key element to help athletes to perform as good as possible on the day X. As well, they care about their recovery so that the performance optimization is set up perfectly for certain tournaments or world championships.
You're talking about professional sports and performance optimization. What kind of clients, what kind of teams use your equipment?
Yeah, it differs actually. Like we started a lot like to get deeper in the physiology of the human by examining especially endurance athletes and their training periodizations, their performance load. But nowadays, we are mainly working in team sports, but also happy to be in Taekwondo present. We have like over 1,000 teams worldwide, and working really with the best teams in football, in the basketball, in the NBA, NHL, in ice hockey, and having also like in endurance sports, in the biathlon or triathlon, customers which are using our technology on a daily basis.
For those who don't know your technology, and I am one of your clients, and I'm happy to be working with Firstbeat for a while now. The equipment, the entry equipment is mostly a heart rate belt that you use during training, but you also use it in the morning before training. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yes, we have like, as already mentioned, like two core elements in optimizing athletes' performance. This is first the training, to examine the training load. This means that the sensor, the heart rate belt, is provided to the athletes, and we are able as a coaching team or even as an athlete to track in real time the workout and the accumulated load. So meaning that, for example, you see the time spent in high intensity training zones, heart rate zones, or other metrics which are very crucial for Firstbeat to provide a deeper insight. For example, the training effect, which is providing insight about the aerobic and anaerobic energy system, and also training impulse, another metric which is applied a lot in the professional sports. And beside these training load metrics, what you are able to track in real time, we are also taking care of the athletes by examining the heart rate recovery and heart rate variability in a very short, quick recovery test in the morning, meaning that the athlete is lying for 3 minutes down, and based on the autonomic nervous system, we are able to provide also the athlete or the coach insights about the recovery level.
That is very important when you mention about periodization. I do see a live training load and intensity data when I have my iPad on. I basically see all my players in one dashboard. I see who is actually having a TRIMP value, so a training intensity value, and which heart rate zones they are. Also, I can see movement loads, how many calories were burned. That's very important. But the fact that in the morning they do a quick recovery test allows me, before I even leave my house, to take a look at my athletes, see how the training from yesterday affected their recovery today, and even adapt my training. That's something that makes me very happy, because it's an amazing tool for my periodization. I can tell you that 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, before I flew to the European Championships, the athlete that was competing at the European Championships at the training status measured by heart rate variability, and also by your dashboard that allows me to monitor the periodization for the last weeks, even years if I want to, but it's not necessary, as you know, to go over a few weeks, more than a few weeks. I managed to go into a plane with a 100% training status. It doesn't mean that she's going to win, but it definitely means that she went into the competition area to her match with the optimal performance. And that is something that is, or performance status, that is something that is actually good for me to know and prevent burnouts and to optimize my training, but also for the players when they buy into the system and they get to see, wait, I'm at 100%, I'm feeling good, I am good, and my system says I'm good. It's all these factors combined, physical, psychological, that are definitely influence the training. In terms of the periodization, what is the secret behind Firstbeat? Why is the dashboard from Firstbeat so good?
thanks for these kind words. And I have to play that ball right away back to you, and also mention that, César, you and your team have been managing this pretty nicely from the beginning, because you have been creating an environment where like also accuracy plays a quite important role, like that your athletes stand up in the morning and these standardized test conditions are pretty clear communicated with the athlete. And then this chronological data documentation, which is a key element of our dashboard, gets very powerful. And for example, thinking about this quick recovery test, which is of course is a very short measurement for 3 minutes. But at the same time, if you create a good standardized test condition and you set up a nice baseline for the athlete, you are very powerful in somehow based on their data bank to see certain trends, and can expect also other external factors which might have an influence on an athlete's performance or recovery. And this combination to have like on one dashboard both the load management, but at the same time also the recovery behavior, I think this is one strength where we are trying really like to bring this physiology as smart as possible to the end user, to the athlete, that he understands, okay, what's actually going on, and also communicating data with the coach and the player. I think this is something what is so important, and building exactly this bridge, between science and practice, that you understand physiology also on a daily level.
Yeah, well, having a standardization on the tests is something that every sports scientist or every trainer should know. The quick recovery test should be like any other test. If you want to do a counter movement jump, or even a strength or rate of force development test, you should always create the same conditions, the same warm up, same time of the day, same temperature as possible, so that the athletes can replicate the results. And of course, that helps. The fact that the standardization of the quick recovery test and the players that buy in understand why it's important to do the test every day at the same time in the same conditions allows me to monitor other things. And in the combat sports, where you have factors like losing weight, or in the female sports where you have the factor of having during your period or not having your period, allows you to monitor your player and understand if they are ready for training. So that's why we call it a readiness test most of the times instead of quick recovery, because you actually understand if they are ready for training and what kind of training they are ready for. And funny enough, 2 years ago, I detected that the quick recovery test was not matching up with the training loads that I was giving to my players. And we were able to identify 3 days before we even had the first symptoms that we had COVID. And that's something that you managed to do because it doesn't need to be COVID. It could be any other sickness. If you have the flu, the first symptoms only show up after the body is being infected. And you already see it with your heart rate variability that it's not matching up in the morning. So heart rate variability is definitely a very powerful tool.
Yeah, I agree. Especially I think there's also a lot of research out when it comes to viral infections detection. In somehow heart rate variability is like one of those tools which can very early already highlight that there is maybe something going on in the human's body. And one thing what I personally see also is that you as a coach, you have the strength based on the data bank. If you have a nice baseline, then also interpreting heart rate variability data gets per season, per year, more and more easy, because you have already your reference values for the athlete, meaning that the maximum and minimum RMSSD, for example, and therefore setting up this, it provides you really a great tool to start communicating also with the athlete based on objective data, what's going on. And I think this is the main and most powerful tool for coaches, to have something more in the hand than just the subjective background answers from the athlete, or the feedback via a conversation you have in addition to that, which is of course, like one key element of coaching. You have something objective and very accurate on the paper, on the account to discuss.
Yes, of course. You have to complement the data you get from the internal heart rate sensors to subjective Borg scales, readiness questionnaires, even, as you said, talking to your athletes. And that's something that every coach should do, like before the training or on the way to training or during warm-up. So are you feeling? How was your day? Any injuries? And if you have a multidisciplinary team and there's a physio or a strength and conditioning coach that everybody talks to each other, the Firstbeat dashboard obviously is very useful because everyone has access to the same data. And it allows the athletes to have all their important information visible to the team members. One of the things that you have that is very unique, and I think you're the only ones out there in terms of sports solutions that have it, is your bodyguard system. Can you tell us a bit about the bodyguard?
Yeah, beside the quick recovery test, we are providing also the athletes an opportunity to get like a deeper insight about their autonomic nervous system, and especially like their behavior outside of the training facilities. This bodyguard device is a heart rate variability measurement device, which is very accurate, has a sample rate of 1,000 hearts per minute, and is used with 2 electrodes. And as I already said, like especially like provides a deeper insight about the reactions, meaning like parasympathicus and sympathicus activation. So the green and red, our gas pedal and stop pedal. How do you say it then in practice? But this is giving you a long-term measurement opportunity, where especially also like free time behavior, lifestyle, nutrition, social media, blue light, smartphones. How does this affect actually to the athlete? And then like one key element, of course, in recovery is the sleep. So we are able like to really like detect very precise is the sleep behavior of the athlete by using this bodyguard device. So you have like a very powerful tool which can be used like more on a specific, I would say, momentum, where you select a certain period or a training camp where the athlete is wearing this bodyguard device for 24 hours, or is it for 72 hours? But then you have also a reporting where you really can highlight like, what is actually doing good for you, for the athlete, or where should be some changes be done.
I have 2 of those. Those are very small devices, as you mentioned, that connect with 2 electrodes to the player's chest. They are fixed. They stay there for a few days. Of course, you can change the pads. You should take them off when you go for a shower. And you can use them up to 5 days. And I only use them when I see that my player's quick recovery status is not matching the training for a few weeks. If I see that if I detect that my player is having some stress and that they're psychologically affected, they're not motivated to training, that they have trouble sleeping, we do ask them to use a device. They'll actually understand why they're using it. And we can measure how their day goes, where they're higher stress, if it's in the morning before school or during school, after school, before training, after training, and how do they sleep, or which time of their sleep is the best recovery time. So if they are late sleepers or if they're early sleepers, they should sleep longer in the morning, something that we can guide them, and all thanks to Firstbeat. So people might not even understand until they see your website how good and how much data you can have, and how this data can help the athletes on their daily life, not only on sports, also changing their life habits, as you said, nutrition, their time on social media, their interaction with other people, what is making them anxious, what is making them perform worse, and all these tools are available out there. It's amazing that you guys came out. How do you usually use the bodyguard with team sports?
Yeah, I think, as you said, like it's a very powerful tool in team sports. We have to say, like, there's communication also from the coach is so crucial, that the athletes don't have the feeling like only data is collected and some guy is sitting behind his laptop and analyzing this data. And actually the data is never shared or transferred to the athlete itself. And then you have this feeling that you get always cables somewhere around you. But at the same time, you don't never get any kind of results or like feedback on that. And in team sports, I really have to say this is getting more and more also to this culture that because we are tracking nowadays, wearables have arrived like so well to pro sports, but it's also very sensitive in that way that we need to make sure that when we collect data, then also these are openly shared with the athlete, and really changes are made based on the data which is collected. Or I see in the coaching part there are a lot of opportunities in somehow to just prepare yourself in that way better, that you are not only storing and collecting data, because in football we know that this bodyguard device is sometimes challenging, especially like in the pro sports. Mainly the athlete do not want to wear anything in his free time, and all is related to the time what he spends at the training facility, and outside of the training facility want to have like this freedom. But at the same time we know that there are millions of drills, and actually like planning training, is it a strength and conditional session or technique tactical aspects, like the amount of new stuff is not so huge, and I think therefore like we as a coach should also think like the hours what are actually not used for training, when thinking also a week, these are often like so much that we actually don't know what the athlete is doing. Also when he's saying recovering, it might be that he's in the shopping mall or doing actually like something private which is quite heavily and it's not related to at all for recovery. And therefore I think this bodyguard device is really like, it shouldn't be only like a tracking and monitoring tool. It's from psychological point of view and pedagogical point of view, very, very powerful, and can be, especially for youth athletes or also older athletes, a key element for professionalization in professional sports. Yeah.
As you mentioned, the athletes don't like to be monitored outside of training. I also don't need to know about their private lives, so that's why I only use with my when they understand they need to be monitored and they really ask to be monitored. But we'll take a little break and we come back with more developments on Firstbeat. This podcast is supported by Hawken Dynamics. Hawken Dynamics believes that technology is most useful when it stays out of your way. That's why Hawken developed the world's first wireless force plate system with extreme usability. It is the quickest, easiest to use, and most robust solution on the market. It is trusted by all sports organizations, large and small, as well as tactical, military, and rehabilitation environments around the globe. It's force testing in the palm of your hand. Here at Taekwondo Center, we use Hawken Dynamics to test and monitor our team. The cloud-based platform allows us to access data and publish a variety of reports on the go. My favorites are trend reports and, of course, weight reports, where I can monitor different metrics to view progress and identify performance indicators, or to compare weights to a baseline data range. I use it on a daily basis to identify readiness. A simple jumping test takes me less than a minute to assess the entire team. Having my own Hawken Dynamics force plates allows me to test reactive strengths, maximum strengths, rate of force development, asymmetry, and so much more. The real-time feedback on the app is useful not only for testing, but as a training tool, making it more accurate and at the same time more engaging for the athletes. If you are interested in learning more about Hawken Dynamics or getting your own, the team can be reached at info@hawkendynamics.com or on Instagram or Twitter @HawkenDynamics. When talking about Taekwondo training, we need to talk about Athlete Analyzer. Athlete Analyzer is the first Taekwondo-specific athlete monitoring system.
It is used by both national teams, regional squads and small clubs to maximize performance, prevent injuries, and communicate with both athletes and trainer teams. Athlete Analyzer is a cloud-based system with a friendly smartphone app. You can plan and monitor every aspect of your training, even when you are not in the gym with your team. The easy-to-use video analysis tool is not like anything you've seen. It helps you understand your athletes and even their opponents, making this app the only tool you need to manage your team. Before I used Athlete Analyzer, I spent an absurd amount of time in front of the computer, creating spreadsheets and using half a dozen software solutions. I have athletes in my center, but also abroad, and with Athlete Analyzer, it's much easier to communicate, plan, and monitor their development. Now that I have extra time, I can focus on what matters, training my athletes, and it still leaves me some room to do other stuff, like this Taekwondo podcast. Athlete Analyzer offers you a 2 weeks free trial. Visit them at athleteanalyzer.com to sign up, or click on the link in the episode's description. To get the most of your free trial, I recommend you first book a free personal demonstration with Nicholas. It will give you a great insight of what Athlete Analyzer has to offer you and your team. It is well worth the time.
You're listening to the Taekwondo Podcast. Now back to your hosts, Coach César Valentim and Peter Nessler.
Welcome back. We are here talking to Christoph Rottensteiner from Firstbeat. We talked about your heart rate sensor, the sports solution, and also the bodyguard that is a 24 hours heart rate variability monitoring devices. Can you share with us some of the other things that Firstbeat has planning for the future?
Yeah, definitely. Since we are a technology-driven company and our strength is the analytic, we are heavily from our R&D team always trying to listen to the feedback from the customers, from the field. It's a part of our strategy company idea also is to get the feedback really from the field and try to use then our scientifically evidence-based know-how in somehow to combine it. And this is also something why we are often asking through our platforms the feedback from the coaches. And then we are weighting this and evaluating the feedback and trying to put it to our roadmap. So definitely the opportunity with the new sensor to also examine movement intensity, movement load based on acceleration. We are really trying to use this also in the future to combine it, for example, with a so-called movement efficiency score, where you are combining external and internal training load data and trying to give you more insights about the actually performance, so performance behavior throughout the seasons, through certain periods. And as I already said in the beginning of this podcast, Firstbeat is not only providing heart rate like other variables where you see time spent in certain training zones. We are really trying to provide metrics like this training effect or training impulse, which gives you a deeper insight about the internal behavior. And hopefully with this movement efficiency, we are also giving coaches then a metric, a parameter, which is combining both and helping them to apply it also on a long-term development pathway of the athlete.
One of the things that your device has, it's the ability to connect several devices at the same time to the coach dashboard. Do you have plans for the players to have all this data accessible by individually acquiring the equipment? Because I'm thinking about all these players that don't have big structures like my training center. They're individual players. Sometimes the only fighter in the club where they are, and they have to travel alone. They have to do some of their planning alone. Can they also get these devices on their own?
Yes, this is also something, as said, it was with all this COVID, but the past 2 years let us also decide as a company that we need to get more involved with the athlete itself. And we created a new web shop. So the athlete is actually also on an individual level able to purchase our technology via our web shop. as well, like the new athlete application is exactly built up for that the athlete is able to see real-time data and also is able to do a quick recovery test by himself through the smartphone. And I think this is exactly the right approach to hopefully get in the future from the athletes even feedback, but also get them more aware about physiology and their reactions to certain training periods or training workouts.
What I'm going to ask you is to imagine that I was not already a long-time user from Firstbeat, and you wanted me to start using your solution so that every other listener out there that is a Taekwondo trainer, a Taekwondo coach, a Taekwondo parent or player, should I get Firstbeat? Why is Firstbeat's advantages regarding to the competition and other solutions out there?
Very good question, and I try to honestly, not like as a salesperson, more like as a sports scientist, because they are my roots to answer. It is, I think, we are all aware that in a collision sport, is it rugby, is it ice hockey, is it taekwondo, when we think about like really like where heavy body contacts are happening, that the heart rate sensor, heart rate belt is in the beginning when I'm just thinking, that might disturb the athlete. So he's not, he can't focus too much on that actually like action, what's matter, huh? And on the winning part, of course. But I have to say, we have made so many contracts and long-term partnerships with exactly this kind of collision sports or martial arts, where it always comes like to the communication. What is the coach saying? And do you trust what we are doing? And let understand actually why we are doing it. And there, Firstbeat can really help, like to give the coach an objective feedback about his workout. Is the intensity high enough? Is it low enough? Is it on that day right way? Is the workout what I'm doing, the drills, are those challenging enough for my top athletes, or is it like more for our amateur or lower level athletes at that time the right workout? And also plan it for specific tournaments, that you're really tapering your athletes. With this objective data from Firstbeat, you have like a very powerful tool which can convince not only like athletes, but also yourself, like that you're on the right pathway, or that you're learning actually like that you need to make changes. So this is something where we from Firstbeat can provide like really like as an extra tool and support the coaching staff and the athlete itself.
Well, you very well put. You don't need to sell it to me. I'm religiously engaged with Firstbeat by now. It's definitely I've used many other heart rate monitoring solutions for decades, since when the wearables were actually affordable. But Firstbeat is definitely the only solution I want to. And the fact that you guys are available, that when I write you a WhatsApp or an email, I get an answer on the same day with a solution to my problem or with some tips on how to work this or that, customer support and information and the science background that can also be there to help me. It's definitely priceless. This is more than the solution we've ever met in person, but I'm guessing you're on my speed dial for a long time now.
Thanks that you highlight this so nicely, and I'm really happy to get this feedback, because this is actually what makes me also as a Firstbeat employer and our company happy, because we want to help like the athletes, the coach, and in general like also like take maybe some scareness about technology, which is for some are not like yet of their training concept, but I see just in the future it brings the whole sport like more forward if we also apply step by step more technology to Taekwondo. And therefore I think this is also what we are trying, like by having like a own customer success management department, where like the client from us really have from the beginning not only the feeling that he gets some new device sent home and here you can try by yourself. We really want to learn from him and also help if there are any questions via online support or through our learning center, where is a lot of material available.
Definitely a lot of resources out there. Besides the learning center, and where can people actually find more information about Firstbeat? Also about you, Christoph. Can you share us your social media that you have public and from Firstbeat as well?
Yeah, I wouldn't call me old school. I have in all kind of social media channels. Is it Instagram or Facebook, LinkedIn, an account? So feel always free to contact me on this way. But I can definitely, or you can share also my email address and phone number. I'm really happy to discuss with other sports scientists, coaches about our company, but or in general the topic about performance optimization, athlete monitoring. Always really happy to learn and share also my experience, what I've made in the past decade in pro sports.
Amazing. Thank you, Christoph. We'll make sure to link you and tag you on our posts when we release this episode on Instagram and Facebook. It was a pleasure being here with you and with everyone who is listening. This was the Taekwondo podcast. If you haven't already, listen to our other episodes that are available wherever you listen to your podcasts. We are releasing new episodes every Tuesday. Stay tuned, subscribe to the podcast, leave us a positive review and share it with your friends. See you next time.
You've been listening to the Taekwondo podcast, keeping the fans, coaches, and high-performance athletes up to date with the latest news and trends on Olympic Taekwondo. Your host, Coach César Valentim, has almost 20 years of experience with high-performance Taekwondo and has worked all around the world as a Taekwondo trainer. Peter Nessler has been teaching Taekwondo for more than 20 years, and he's currently one of the top referees in Europe. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on Instagram at Taekwondo Podcast, on Facebook at Taekwondo Cast, and the website taekwondopodcast.com. See you next time.